Far in the distance, across the great ocean, there lies a land untouched by the curse of cosmic horrors and turmoil Terraria is so well known for. An island inhabited by a barbaric but simple people, a race of goblins who wish only to exist undisturbed, left in peace to go about their own simple lives. The ragtag people are quick to anger though, and when a single so-called champion chooses to anger powers greater than their understanding, endangering the whole world, they must travel forth and put an end to the actions of this self-righteous hero. Gods had begun. Humanity had all players deep and challenging, different is less likely to get me horribly The Goblins, isolated to their narrow stretch of land amongst the vast ocean, never decided to leave their home. They never wanted to travel or settle or even conquer. Few were interested in the advancement of technology, and even fewer considered what was actually beyond their shores. For the longest time, the average life of a goblin consisted of little more than regular brawls and the crafting of spiked balls. Even when the crawling chaos god corrupted the rest of the world, the goblins were for the most part oblivious. There was a small caste, however, who noticed the eerie glow on the horizon and feared that it may eventually spread to their home. To this end, they uncovered an ancient ritual to light the dark fire of Terraria, a twisted flame not of life but of death, and take it unto themselves as a precaution to defend their homeland. As it was, the goblins were not always the backwards barbarians they are seen as today, but the wielders and keepers of Terraria's dark heart, the Shadow Flame. For since the planet's birth, put there by a great being of sinister will, the flame works to starve the fire of life at the world's core, and leave it a dead, barren rock. Priests of the Shadow Flame constructed weapons imbued with it, developed techniques based around the flame, and were soon ready to defend their home if the time came. But after so long of waiting, the time did not come. Civilizations rose and fell on the mainland. Gods consumed all life and were in time felled, and still the goblins remained isolated. Paranoia would get the best of the goblins, and they feared so much for their home that they were willing to launch a preemptive strike. For a while though, all was quiet on the mainland, and nothing presented itself to threaten the goblins, which only acted to worsen their paranoia. And then the champion of Terraria began fighting the remnants of the old gods, destroying their terrible altars, summoning yet more awful creatures. To the goblins this was deemed as reckless, and they saw that this was their time to act. They would stop this supposed hero from needlessly endangering the world, and led an invasion force consisting of nearly every tier of their society in a war against the champion and their followers. But not all goblins agreed with the invasion, feeling that the rampant paranoia would only lead to the downfall of their people. One such individual was a skilled creator of innovative technology, something not especially appreciated by the majority of goblin kind. This would lead to the creator having his pointed ears cut off, a punishment reserved for those not conforming to the old ways. The Tinkerer was intelligent, however, no one could argue with that, and so he was tasked with navigating to the mainland, a feat few others could achieve. But upon reaching their destination, the army felt they no longer needed his directions, and so he was tied up and thrown into a cave to be eaten by the foul creatures below. The disorganized rabble of goblins, claiming to be an army, was swiftly defeated by the champion, and the Tinkerer was eventually found, choosing to stay on the mainland as his own people no longer wanted him. Despite their crushing defeat, the goblins still watch the mainland and the actions of the champion. Occasionally they will send a scout to investigate more closely and assess the viability of another invasion. Even so, the champion attempts to communicate with the scouts, only to find them extremely hostile. Because of this, the people of the mainland know very little about the goblins, and believe them to only be marauding barbarians capable of little more than fighting. While this is to some extent accurate, the goblins are so much more discerned by their fear of something terrible happening to their homeland, and see any action by the champion as a reason to go to war. It is for this reason that when the champion creates a goblin banner from cloth found on the scouts, and waves it in an attempt to form a truce, the goblins only see it as an insult, and immediately launch their forces, even if they know it is likely they will lose. A proud and isolationist people, the goblins were eventually driven to suspicion, paranoia, and a kamikaze war in the light of the actions of another. One who was merely trying to save the world from a future threat, but never stopped to consider how their actions may impact others. The goblins were not an evil of the world, just another people who succumbed to miscommunication and were victims to the great fear that lies in each of us. Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe so you'll be the first to know about my future videos. And don't forget, I've got a Patreon and merch store. I think that's about it, so have a great day and I'll see you later.